Plaintiff Kiara Hughes says she realized the defendant was her cousin when they were in college, and she allowed him to move in with her after he was put on academic probation. Kiara blames the defendant for breaking their lease, so she's suing him for a lease termination fee, rent, and bills. Defendant Jamani Jones O'Brien says he was thrilled when he discovered Kiara was his cousin because he had just moved to Michigan and she took him under her wing. Jamani says he moved out of Kiara's apartment after she stole his speakers, so he denies owing for anything.
Before we get started with this case, let me recognize one of our legal researchers who is here today. What we do is we send researchers into courtrooms around the country to see cases that have been filed already. They read the cases, the petitions, and if they look interesting, they bring it here. And we have one of our star researchers here with us today. She's been with us for 14 seasons. Wow. And she's one of our top researchers. In fact, she did this case. She found this case in the 62nd District Court in the state of Michigan. And so let us give a big hand to Carol Miller and her husband, Patrick. There she is right here. Thank you. Thank you. And so I'm gonna make sure this case is interesting. We can't let you down.
Plaintiff Kiara Hughes is suing her cousin, who claims while living with Kiara, she stole his speakers.
Start with you, give some background.
Okay, I actually met my cousin in college. I did not know him growing up. Actually, my auntie called me up and told me I had a cousin that was going to my same school, and I thought that was pretty cool because I didn't have any family where I was at, you know. So we ended up talking, getting hooked up, and after we had our first conversations, he seemed like a really cool guy, and he told me a little bit about himself. But more I got to talk to him, more I got to know him, I found out he was a little spoiled. And on top of being spoiled, he got, money. Mama would send him some money, and he would go out and have fun with his friends. And he wasn't really paying attention to school like he was supposed to. But that's what he was there for. And I feel like I saw him as an opportunity to really be somebody under my wings, because I was there, I was in school, I was working 2 jobs. I know what it's like. I know that you want to have fun with your friends, but you need to find a balance. And that's what I was trying to get from a balance. But because of his situation with the partying.
Boys, I must tell you, or young men, when they go to college, they're less serious, in my observation, than the young ladies. The young men want to do what you're saying, have a lot more fun, sometimes more fun than studies. And they want to chase women, and they want to have the beer and the liquor on the weekends, and young ladies are taking care of their business. That is why there are more young ladies. There's a higher percentage of women graduating from college than young men, because they're on their business. So, glad you tried to give some balance, but let's see what happened with your advice.
Okay. So because he was going, partying a little too much, he got into some trouble with school and he was on academic probation. He needed a place to stay. And I had no issues having him stay with me. I was already living off campus. I was already on my own. And, having a roommate would just make it a little easier on me because my finances would just be a little better. And so we decided to live with each other. He moved into my 1-bedroom apartment with me, and we was fine, and it was a little small,
let me allow him to give some background first.
Okay.
And young man, don't feel bad. Myself and everybody, every male I've known that went to college, maybe with the exception of 5, and I've known at least a couple hundred people, they all were on academic probation that first year because they got to college and went on the wild. All these girls who don't have parents looking over their back. My mom and daddy can't tell me if I can drink or not. This is heaven. And then they realize, you got 1 more semester and you're out. He said, let me take care of my business, so I'm not gonna ride you for that. But tell me about your association and when and why you all agreed to move in together.
Well, like she said, we met over the summer. She heard about me through our aunt. I heard about her through my mother. She, informed me that I did have family up there. She was a big help to me. She took me in, when I didn't have anywhere else to go. She helped me out. When I came to trying to find, just learning different things about things up there in Michigan, I was new to it. And I just tried to adjust the best way I could, but we had our own, we just kept butting heads so much throughout the time we were living there. And
let me allow her to pick up there, and congratulations for helping. See, this the women again, help these men through college, help them, and then they get in the workforce and don't want to hire the women when they become boss. And the women, the ones that helped them through. So congratulations. My wife helped me through. When I met her, I was still on the verge of a hoodlum in my second year in college. And she said, well, you're going to have to stop hanging with those guys, the gambling you do and all the other stuff, shooting dice on campus, all the other stuff. You're going to have to stop and be a real student. And so as pretty as she was, or he is, I said, okay, I stopped. And then when I graduated, my mentor in that rainwater got me my first job, a woman with the city council in Detroit, and mentored me all the way through. So women. I love y'all. I love it.
Plaintiff Kiara Hughes is suing her cousin, who claims while living with Kiara, she stole his speakers.
What was the agreement?
We agreed to split everything 50-50, so we split all the bills 50-50.
What was the rent and what was 50%?
The rent was $855 a month. I was a little bit more because I had a cat, so I paid $440 a month.
How much was he to pay?
$415.
$415. And you all moved in when?
October.
And what was his share of the bill?
His share of the bills was about $100 a month.
All right, and so now you're suing him for those things as well as the termination fee.
Yes.
Why? What happened?
Over the course of us living together, we had several noise violations that he caused. And we
still up to his old ways, partying in the house now.
We also were late on the rent. But the last...
Also late on the
Yes.
rent, which month?
We were late November.
And how did you all split up? What happened?
So the last noise violation happened in January. And when that last noise violation happened in January, we were about to be evicted. If we got one more noise violation, that would be impossible. That'd be eviction.
So what happened in January when you got this final warning, or you thought it would be
We ended up going and talking to the assistant manager at the apartment complex. She was willing to work with us because I had no prior
so you let
incidences.
him stay again? Let you all stay?
Yes, to let us stay and not get evicted. But there were two exceptions.
What's that?
They need immediately removal of the speakers. So they need
remove the speakers.
Remove the speakers.
And they put them where? They're gonna tell you what you can have in your house?
Right.
They just asked for immediately removal of the speakers.
Asked. And what else?
And they also wanted us to wanted him to apologize to the tenants because of the noise.
That's it?
Yes, those were the two exceptions if we want to stay there.
Did you do it?
I talked to him about it when I first immediately told him what was going on. He said he wasn't going to take my speakers. No, you're not taking my speakers. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, but this is so we can live in the apartment.
Mm-hmm. So what did happen?
He was like, I will just take care of it when I get back home. And he got off the phone with me, didn't let me say anything else. I went home, I took the speakers out of his room. I didn't touch anything else.
Where did you put them?
I took them and I put them in a safe place. I didn't take them and put them anything wrong. I gave them to the apartment originally, but they said they couldn't keep.
Did you ever give them back to him?
Yes, of course.
She took my speakers to someone else's house.
All right,
I gave
you have them back. I don't see the lawsuit.
Yeah.
No one's suing about speakers.
No.
So let's get to the rent. How did that come about that he owes rent?
About a week and a half went by and I was talking to him about February's rent. He said he wasn't paying it. He said he was moving out, he was leaving, he's not gonna pay February's rent, he wasn't gonna do it. I only had 2 days to come up with
and he hasn't paid it.
No.
Has he paid his $100 for February?
No, he did not pay utilities.
So that's $415 and $100. So how do you get to $1,898?
The breaking the lease fee is a month and a half worth of rent.
Termination fee.
Yes.
And what is that amount?
$1,283.
All right, let me hear from you, sir.
Well, we were there. Everything was fine at first when we got there. We did get a few noise complaints that were caused by me. After a while, we had actually got a couple more that they didn't leave a slip or anything, didn't send a letter for, just talked to maintenance people that were there. I even invited them in to come in and listen to the music. So I'm like, okay, well, we won't leave one because we don't hear anything. And it got to one point we got one noise complaint. I wasn't at home. And I informed her of that. We even talked about it. We even talked about it, that I wasn't there and the speakers were removed.
Plaintiff Kiara Hughes is suing her cousin, who claims while living with Kiara, she stole his speakers.
And your defense is that you don't owe for rent and the termination fee because what?
Because I didn't feel comfortable living there after a while. Like, she went into my room and took my stuff out of there.
Huh?
Because we would argue about a lot of pointless stuff.
So
She would try to interfere in my
so
life
what does
that had nothing
say?
to do with her.
You don't pay the rent for the time you were there?
Because I talked to her about moving out. I talked to her
But you
about us
stayed,
breaking the
though.
lease when
But you
I had the
stayed.
money. for
Sir,
it. I
the
tried
time
to.
you stayed, do you
I
agree
tried
that
to.
you should pay for the time you stayed?
Yes.
In fact, you're going to have to pay for all of it. Her having to move was totally your fault. By your own admission, you got several violations. Here's this young lady move you in, try to help you by your own admission. She helped me a lot. She advised you, tried to put you in a better environment than those folks you were probably hanging out with, listening to this loud music, smoking weed all the time, hanging out, on probation. She helps you. You get her in trouble, and now you don't want to pay. Have a good day. Judgment for the plaintiff. He calls every single problem that you have.
My cousin, I love you. I will always love you. You know, I just feel like we were in a bad situation, and I want us to we be able to work together. But you have to understand there are consequences for not following the rules.
I understand that. I mean, I wanted us to, go our separate ways when we both had the money to afford it, but it just got too bad, and I just feel like it was best. I understand I put you in a bad bond.
Did you pay a lot of money for a caterer, your wedding, or any other service and didn't get what you were promised? If so, tell me about it at AskJudgeMathis.com.